Hello. It's Monday night. It is the Play Callers Pod. And with the crew, it's been a while. We're back together. Oh, it's a perfect night. We have myself, Tracy Lynn. We have Coach Kirk Broussard and Coach Chris Williams. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. We have so much to catch up on right now. I guess, are we starting with our salute? It's been a while. So, gentlemen.
Okay.
Monday.
I'm not getting paid for this, but I like these.
What is it?
It's called Celsius, and it's like all natural, no calories, no sugar, and they taste great.
Really?
And if they see it, hopefully they'll sponsor us. Hopefully, if they see it.
Yeah, we definitely encourage people to sponsor the show because, why not? First off,
we want 10,000 views this show. That's what we want.
Yes. And I feel like we're going to get it because, there's a lot of headlines out there, a lot of things that we have to get caught up on. First and foremost, big news, Drew Brees retires. Are you guys shocked about this? Coach Broussard, are you shocked that he went out? He's done. Here's the question for you guys tonight. Was he pushed out? Or did he go willingly? Like, this is what his plan was, Coach Broussard.
I don't think he was pushed out. I think he went willingly. If you watched him on a lot of throws last year, he didn't have a lot of muster in his arm. Wasn't as much zip on the football that there normally is. And so, 20 years, I mean, how much more can you go with football? It's a brutal game. What more can he accomplish? He probably would have liked to get another ring, I'm sure. Yeah. But everything else he accomplished, I think a few of his records might be in jeopardy because Brady's going to play another year, and Brady's on his heels for a lot of those records. I think they both were kind of competing. They wanted to be top dog in the record book. But I think he just kind of looked at it and he saw he couldn't make a lot of the throws last year. And then he had some injuries as well. Mm-hmm. And you just know when to say when sometimes in that sport.
Yeah, and he did it in such a unique way. I thought he had his children on Instagram, which I felt like I was almost one of the first few people that saw this because I saw it when he posted it. And I thought it was pretty cute that he did it that way. And I think that you guys would agree, though, that moment that he had with Tom Brady on the field, the last moment he had walking off, he did that look about, like that last moment, enjoying, soaking it up. Coach Chris Williams, are you shocked about this?
No, not shocked. I think they definitely probably saw it coming, probably weeks ago, New Orleans, personnel people, but, great career for that guy. Spent 15 years in New Orleans. He was in San Diego before that. I mean, he overcame all the odds of a smallish type of a quarterback. So, I mean, he right now, he's going to have, records that sit, firmly in the top 10 in just about every category. Mm-hmm. So, not shocked. I mean, he's at that age that you would normally be. Tom Brady is starting to push that bar to where we start to think you can go longer than but Drew Brees is, at this point, probably 7 years past where all the greats have retired. So not shocked. He's got a normal body. Tom Brady doesn't have a normal body, but it ended up being a great career for Drew Brees.
Yeah, I actually saw him in 2019 before this pandemic hit. He was in Tampa playing, and it was incredible to see him on the field and just the way that he plays the game. But, I mean, he's not gone from football. He's just retired from quarterback because he also released this morning that he is joining the NBC sports analyst crew.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Which really, I'm not shocked about that. You retire, you become an analyst, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen it multiple times. But Coach Broussard, do you see that maybe he would be better used in a different aspect, like maybe with the Saints?
I think he's going to be big in the community of New Orleans because he's always did that even when he was playing. So I think he'll be involved with the Saints in that capacity. But I think he I think he's going to be good at commentating. I mean, Tony Romo has set the bar so high. I don't know if he'll be Tony Romo, but he's very knowledgeable about the game. He speaks extremely well, and he's very likable. And I think he'll do well in that new role in the broadcast booth. But, I think a lot of players shy away from the demands of actually working in an organization because, I mean, what can you really do? Can you work in personnel or work in coaching? And players usually know that's a high demand of hours and time as a coach. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people shy away from coaching or scouting because there's just so much demand in that role as far as your time. And it looks like he's big at putting time into his family. So I think the broadcast booth would actually be perfect for him.
Okay, yeah. And it looks like Tom Brady, he was sending his wishes to Brees, and so was Russell Wilson, which are a couple other people we're going to be talking about during this podcast. Let's get right to Tom Brady. So it looks like he accidentally tweeted out or sent his number out on a video. Yeah, so he accidentally put his number on a video, telling 1.8 million followers to hit him up at a number. Wow. Do you think that maybe he's a little distracted with his new Tampa Bay contract? I didn't get the number. It's probably disconnected right now, but I might have to see if it still works in about a second.
He might be back on his avocado tequilas when he did that one.
Yeah. He seems to really be enjoying that tequila now that he's in Florida. Mm-hmm. So Coach Broussard, so he has signed this contract. Do you feel like that was like a Tom Brady contract? Like when you look at what other players are signing for and then you see Brady's, what are your thoughts on his?
I think it was just catered for his age and the uncertainty about the future. I mean, it was tailored for what is it, a 1-year deal, I believe. And, it's at a market value to where I think a lot of it is, if you heard earlier comments, Tom Brady's being unselfish. I mean, he decided to take less money to make room for other players on the roster. So I think he's being a team player. I think he wants to win. Winning to him is more important than money. He makes more money off the field than he must.
He doesn't need the money.
Yeah, his endorsements pay him more than what he makes for football. So he's not really concerned with the money.
Okay, Coach Chris Williams, Tom Brady, obviously making a headline again. Contract staying with the Bucs. What do you think about his contract? Do you think he's going to do like the full contract, or are we just thinking, okay, one more season?
No, I do think he'll do, more than one more season. I do think that. But, like Coach is saying, I mean, he's an unselfish guy, man, and the moves that he makes allows people to compete for championships. So, you can't, I mean, the guy's been doing this pretty much all of his career and keeping things open for a team to still be able to do some things. So you gotta respect that, and how he handles his business. And, he's unselfish to the point of money, like Coach is saying, but doing that in a selfish way where he wants to still be able to win at the highest level. So I'm not surprised by how they put it together. I mean, he is going to be 44 next season, so you can't be surprised by how they put it together. But I think he probably will go until 45, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, he's always making a headline, isn't he? He does so good with his endorsements. Like, yeah, sure, give me a contract for a couple bucks. No big deal. Seems like, he's always got something to talk about. Another contract that's making headlines. Cam Newton's $14 million contract, kind of a no-brainer when it comes to the Patriots, but it's a 1-year contract. Safe? Do you think that they played it safe on this, Coach Broussard?
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably incentive-based as well. 14 is just a big number that's catchy. His agent probably wants to get a lot of recognition for getting a Cam Newton after a bad season, 14 million. So I'm sure a lot of it's incentive-based based on what he did last year. They want to protect themselves, especially the Patriots. They have a reputation for being a very frugal team when it comes to, spending money. Although this year they've been doing a lot of shopping and putting out more money than typically what I've seen from a Patriots organization. So I think Cam is poised for a good year this year. I think people gave him a bad rap from coming off of his injury. I don't think he's completely healed. I think he came back a little bit too soon. Hopefully he does all the proper steps here in the offseason. And I don't think I think his best years are behind him, but I think he's still a playoff caliber quarterback. If he can get past the injury.
And this isn't a starting position either. Like, they haven't promised him.
Yeah, why would they? I think they probably end up drafting a quarterback, if you ask me. I think they look at drafting a quarterback in the second or third round.
Okay, Coach Chris Williams, Cam Newton, $14 million, only a 1-year contract.
That's the right way to play it. From a business standpoint, it's definitely the right way to play it. But I think, I do think there's something left there in Cam. I truly think that the Patriots offensive coaches were so used to dealing with Tom Brady, for the length of time that they dealt with Tom Brady, that they didn't really know how to, really how to get the full usage out of a guy like Cam. And I think, once things were starting to spiral there at the beginning, he wasn't able to, mentally overcome that and fight through that. But I think they probably would have a better idea of where he's at and what they can do with him. How do we coach this guy? How do we set up a game plan for this type of player? So I think, Bill Belichick's and his staff's probably smart enough to figure that out. But you could tell that they just didn't quite know, how to get past the Brady days. Not last year they couldn't, at least.
If it's anything like this past season that we just had, expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
Who knows who's going to be the star, who's going to be shining, or what's going on. It'll be interesting to see how he does this season. I mean, he's had his ups and downs, and hopefully he's on the upward spiral, that he can, this will be good for him. Hopefully he stays focused. So
I find it interesting. A publication put out a list recently of the most hated athletes, the top 10 most hated athletes. And Brady was on that list, and Cam Newton was on that list.
Really?
Yeah, I find it interesting that they've had 2 quarterbacks in recent times that are both on the most hated athletes of all time. It's crazy.
When you hate, they do good. So Anthony White just commented, does Cam Newton get a new breath of life in another organization? Can he be more? Guys, what are your thoughts on this?
You want to take that, Coach?
A new breath of life in a different place than New England? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
I think he's getting his new breath of life, to be honest. I mean, New England's a good spot for him. And, he's only been there a year, and y'all don't like my excuse of no off season through COVID, but that played a part with Cam Newton. He didn't have OTAs and didn't do a lot of things that he normally would have been able to do. So I think his new life is, if his new life is not going to be in New England, it's not going to be anywhere else. You know what I mean? So, his new life needs to happen now. But I think he's in a good spot.
Okay, So you're saying this is it. There's nothing else after this. No other organization, no other team. Coach Broussard, what do you think?
I just wonder, is he fully healed? I just wonder, is his injury fully healed? That's the concern I have. But, if it doesn't work out with the Patriots, he's accomplished enough in his career where he's going to get another shot with someone else. You just hope it's a good fit for him. But I do agree with Coach. I think where he's at is a good fit for him. The coaching staff needs to just better adjust to his talents, and that's coaching. To make the best out of what you have is a coaching attribute that they should have in place for him. They should cater the playbook to do what Cam does best. There's a lot of plays that Cam is really good at, and you need a lot of that type of included in your offense. So I think if the injury is fully healed, he's going to shock some people there this year, and he's going to have a really good season. And I think the Patriots will definitely be a playoff team because they're making other acquisitions that are really putting in a position to be talented enough to be a playoff team. The thing that concerns me with New England is if you're looking at their receiver core, they don't have any game breakers in the receiver core. They don't have a dude that they can throw the ball to that if it's not a perfect throw that can make a play. And I don't know if they're going to be able to acquire that, but that's what's missing with New England. And you got to get away with it with Brady. You didn't quite have to have it with Brady because Brady could make it better than what they are. I mean, we know that. But you did have Gronk, and Gronk was a dude in his prime that you could throw it up, and he could make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Yeah, Gronk. Jeez. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Good point of views on that one. Now I want to get a little personal right now. Okay, let's talk about favorite movie. I saw some eyebrows raising like, oh boy, where's she going with this one? Favorite moments, guys. I want to know, what is your favorite moment, either when you're in the game, on the sideline, on the field, or a moment that you saw that would be your favorite moment when it comes to sports. Coach Broussard, do you want to start us off? Moments. Tell me, what do you remember?
I have a lot of them, but I'll share this one in particular with you. It was actually in practice. It wasn't in the game. It was in practice. And I'm sure a lot of other coaches remember it. A lot of other players remember it. But there was a moment in 2013 in a Detroit Lions practice to where I think Calvin Johnson ran an 8 route, but he took an outside release with it. Mm-hmm. So it was really like a true 8 route when he came back inside. And I could have swore when Matthew Stafford threw this ball in practice, it literally looked like the ball was going over the goalposts. I mean, the ball was probably 3 feet over the goalpost. And I kid you not, with three men draped on Calvin Johnson, he went up like I've never seen anybody went up. It looked like the goalpost was at his elbows. He came down with the ball, and Coach Schwartz shut down practice. It was. I don't even know if it's on film somewhere. I've never seen a human go up that high and catch a football. But that was the moment that stands out. Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool moment, Coach Williams.
Wow. You guys always put us on the spot here. You know what? The first thing that comes to my mind is kind of maybe an embarrassing story as a coach, and I'll try to go through it really quickly. But we're playing in an arena football game in Wyoming. We're in like the Jackson Hole, Wyoming is where we're at playing this team, and so we're winning the game. But a player from the other side did not have he wasn't playing. He was on the injured list, and so he's on the sideline. So we're winning the game, and this player is like brandishing like his belt line as if he's got a gun or something, right? So the sport of football is going to turn into this guy's going to shoot everybody because we're going to win the game, which was just so crazy, and you got to keep in mind that when you're coaching arena ball, it's kind of like a minor league baseball thing where some of your guys are all screwed on and some of them are not all screwed on. So our guys, were really upset with the way this guy was acting on the sideline. And believe it or not, when the game's over, we go into our locker room, and then this guy comes into the locker room doing the same thing, like lifting his shirt like he's gonna shoot everybody. You know what I mean? So some guys grab him and push him out the door. And it takes us coaches longer to get outside than everybody else. So by the time I get outside, there's police cars everywhere out in the back parking lot, right? So the parking lot is crawling with policemen, and they're talking to my guys, they're talking to those guys. But my players, 2 of my offensive linemen, had found this guy and actually absolutely beat him to a pulp. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the world is going on, right? So they had taken it so personal, and this guy had gone so far past the line of, I'm going to endanger you guys. And, so my 2 linemen go and find him. And then I went to my guys and I said, did you guys do that? Did you actually do it? And the crazy look in their eyes, they had like this cross-eyed crazy look that I couldn't understand. And so it's like they had completely lost it, but they get arrested, and we end up staying in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, 24 hours at night trying to get those guys bailed out. So we got to call the owner. We got to get money to bail them out. And anyway, those 2 guys ended up getting banned from the league for life. You know what I mean? But it was just such a moment that I felt like I had no control over. I didn't, I was so embarrassed by it because I felt like it was, as a coach, this is happening under my watch. And you guys put me on the spot. I didn't know this question was coming, but that's the first thing that pops to my mind is this story. But just still to this day, feel so embarrassed that my guys didn't have enough control. But when you think about it, what was that guy doing? Why why. I mean, he kind of the whole thing off, right? So, not my favorite story, but definitely my most embarrassing story on the spot.
Well,
did they recover a weapon from the guy? Sorry, Kid Tracy.
No, they never recovered a weapon, so who knows if he actually had one or not. But
Yeah.
you know, the way he went about it. I mean, he and my guy, these were two pretty mild mannered guys, but I think they just couldn't take it that particular night.
Wow.
Well, it's definitely something that is a teachable story, right? There's always consequences to everything we do.
Yes.
So, you know, I don't know how this is going to fit in and compare to your stories, but I don't know if you guys know that I used to play soccer.
Okay.
I know that.
Yes. I used to play soccer every Sunday morning with a bunch of girls or women, and we were called sisters in soccer. Okay. And I played because I wanted to win a trophy. I would see people that won trophies, and you walk into their house and they always had tons of stuff to show people. And I never had that. So we win the whole season. I am so excited. My kids were very, very little. And I'm like, yep, mommy won. Mommy won. It's my trophy moment. Like, I worked hard for this. I pulled every muscle in my body. I get the trophy. Are you ready for this? It was a candle.
Wow.
I got a candle for first place. And my face, I was like, that's it. And I literally dropped it and walked away. I was that person. But I continued to play with a different organization on Friday nights. And that was like, Sisters in Soccer was like here. The one that I joined was like pro. Yeah. You know, that ball, when somebody kicks it and you block it, you can actually see the stitching of the ball imprinted in your skin. And it hurts.
Yeah,
and I would block it. Yeah, I would block it. And I literally could taste my ovaries in my mouth.
Oh my
Because that is how hard they would kick the ball.
Wow.
No, that's crazy. That is crazy. I didn't know you had some athlete in your background. Learning some stuff today.
I'm very competitive. I don't know if you guys have picked up on that, but I am very competitive.
Yeah,
we noticed in the football pool on Sunday.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, so my very first trophy was a candle. I was so disappointed.
Yeah,
yeah, that's pretty much my story. And actually, as I was saying, I did see Drew Brees play. So if we're looking at games that we've gone to see, my first ever NFL game was the Browns playing Miami.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I've been going. I love going because I like the tailgating. I love the people that are at the games. And then I learned from my first game, don't show up wearing the other team's jersey or anything. So I showed up wearing Dolphins gear. Remember, because I'm a Dolphins fan.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got called a lot of names that day.
So the game was in Cleveland.
Oh yeah.
Cleveland has some brutal fans.
Yeah, they do.
Great tailgating. I go back like probably twice a season because I have so much fun. I've invested in Browns in their gear because I want to support the team, right? But yeah, that was like the walk of shame after that game because I lost, and there I was. People were barking in my face. Like this was my first experience, right?
Oh, wow.
They called me an a-hole in my face, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. Crazy.
Try walking through the tailgating part wearing a Dolphins jersey at a Browns.
Cleveland and Philadelphia got crazy fans.
And Buffalo.
Yeah. Buffalo's? Really? I didn't really know.
I've never been to Buffalo, but I heard that there's some pretty crazy fans.
Well, every NFL team has them, but Philly and Cleveland have an excess of crazy fans.
I gotta ask, since we're kind of on the subject. I know it's a little bit off topic, but when I was in the CFL, I went to a lot of those stadiums, and those people are pretty, raucous too. You know what I mean? So would you say it's where I think it may be a little bit more off the chains than even some of our NFL spots? I mean, I've been to Ottawa. They've got a pretty tough fan base right there. Montreal was crazy too. So would you agree with that, Tracy? That they're
we're passionate CFL fans, very passionate. So I did the podcast with Damon Allen. outside the pocket, right? Argo, quarterback, Hamilton, girl, right? So I would show up at the Cat games and they would be like getting in my face. I'm telling you, I suck. Because you know how they say Argo suck? They're like, Tracy sucks. And I'm like, what? I would show up wearing the Cat stuff. So CFL fans definitely we're very passionate. And hopefully we get a season this year.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear XFL?
I heard about the potential merger.
Yeah, for 2022.
Wow.
Actually, saying that, Coach Williams, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that that's something that's going to be a positive thing, or are we going to lose the game of football when it comes to CFL?
I mean, if they play by, I haven't heard this yet. So you're talking the XFL merging with the CFL, right? That would
right. Yeah.
So I would say that if they keep the Canadian League rules, and then when they play on our side of the border, that I think that's something that our people would be, if we give it a chance. I think our people would like to see the Canadian League rules in a different league than the NFL, rather than seeing regular style football. If you catch my drift. So I think the guys in motion, the 12 people on the field, even if they keep the Canadian rule in effect where you have to have so many Canadian players, I think that would be great too. So there's awesome potential for that. I mean, if you have a northern side of the division and a southern side of the division, I mean, that would be awesome. So yeah, I'd be all for that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Interesting to see if it will happen. I mean, financially, both sides, you have CFL that's like multi-millions in debt. And the XFL, which is known to go bankrupt many times. It'll be interesting to see. And plus, Hamilton now, we have Grey Cup this year. So nice. I don't even know what's going to happen. But we do have, Lee has asked a question, and we got to get to this. Asking the two of you, do you think the Saints would draft a quarterback this year? Coach Broussard, what are your thoughts on that?
I think they should have drafted a quarterback 2 years ago. And I think they should have given him time to sit behind Drew Brees and learn. At least last year they should have drafted a quarterback. And I think this year I've heard talks of them looking in the second and third round for maybe Kyle Trask or Mac Jones or someone like that. But I think they should. They're a year behind with drafting a quarterback. Now you draft a guy who's going to have to probably play right away, because I don't think Jameis Winston is the answer for a full season. I think you're going to put him in. I think he's not really a great fit for what Peyton likes to do. I think he's going to have one of those 3 interception Jameis Winston games. And they're going to get frustrated and yank him and put the rookie in. But I think they will draft a quarterback this year. Okay.
Coach Williams, what do you think? I mean, I agree with that. They should have done it a while ago because we all knew this was coming.
It's not going to – I mean, based on, the guys that they would get their hands on right now, I mean, it's not going to make a huge difference if they drafted one now. Both of you guys are right. They should have done that a while ago. But I take a different approach on Jameis Winston. I think if he that year behind Drew Brees may have been a life changer for him. I mean, he's got a load of talent, and if he just gets that hood mentality, I mean, as much as you hate to say that, but this is what it is. I mean, he's got that. He had that hood kind of freestyle mentality, and if he reels himself in and becomes, and carries himself like a pro quarterback, I mean, that guy's got some ability. And, I think New Orleans would be a great fit because that boy can sling it around. I mean, threw for 5,000 yards, take away the interceptions, but he's got the ability. He's just got that mentality for him to go from being a street kid to being pros guy that studies the game and commits himself to the game. If he does that, he'll be fine.
Okay. I want to ask, what are your thoughts when it comes to the draft? Who's the best player that's got your attention there? I mean, you guys are the coaches. You see things totally different than I do, and I can't even answer this question. Coach Broussard.
Well, I think it's a two-part answer. I think, obviously, at the most premium position, which is quarterback, it appears that Trevor Lawrence is the best prospect. So that automatically makes him the best player in the draft. But if you were just to take Trevor Lawrence out of it and look at the player that most reminds me of, and not being a homer, the player that most reminds me of of Randy Moss, which is like a generational type talent, is Kyle Pitts. I mean, Kyle Pitts is a generational type talent, and I'm not saying it because I like Florida, but I think Devontae Smith and Kyle Pitts are neck and neck. Well, I think neck and neck for the best player in the draft, other than Trevor Lawrence. So,
Coach Williams?
Man, it's hard for me to take Trevor Lawrence out of it. I mean, I know exactly where you're going with that, Coach, and you're right. Pitts is a hell of a talent. I mean, if he gets in the right place, it's going to be fine. But Trevor Lawrence, to me, is truly, I mean, and I don't know why. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is one of those guys that, you know, maybe he's kind of worn out his welcome with as long as he played in Clemson, but I don't think people are not on that bandwagon the way that they really should be. I mean, this is a guy that could change your organization for the next 15 years. He is that talented. I mean, he's got that pedigree, and he's shown you what he can do over time. But for some reason, people, you know, everybody doesn't really jump on the train for what that guy really can be. Trevor Lawrence is going to help change the NFL at the QB position, just like Patrick Mahomes. So that guy is going to be – he's going to be a guy that people are going to have to deal with for a long time. So I'm on the Trevor Lawrence train, and I think we're going to be on that train for a while.
Okay, we had Ryan sent in a message. Coach B, why did they release Jack Rabbit?
You know, I don't get that. The Saints needed a lot of help in the secondary. I think they got better when they acquired Jack Rabbit. He had some struggles earlier on, but he settled down. He was really, really good for him. I think Jack Rabbit is still probably a top 15, 20 corner in the league. And I thought he was pretty good with the Saints. And I think I get what they're doing. They're trying to free up some cap room to make some other moves and acquisitions. And I mean, hopefully they have their eye on someone in the draft that can kind of step in and replace what they're going to lose with Jack Rabbit. But, you know, he's a veteran guy, he's seasoned, and I think he was definitely an upgrade when they acquired him in the secondary, and I think they should have held on to him. So the Saints have made a lot of moves that I really just don't get. I mean, I like the Saints. I try to consider myself a Saints fan, but, you know, the money that they paid Taysom Hill and letting Jack Rabbit go, some of these moves, I really don't get what they're doing. So I don't agree with letting Jack Rabbit go at all. He's probably going to end up in Jacksonville or Tampa. Watch.
Okay. Coach Williams, Russell Wilson. Time's running out on this when it comes to the Bears. Do you think that he's really going to leave? Or is this just another headline? Like, let's just put some attention on Wilson because, you know, he hasn't really been great.
Well, you know, first of all, I mean, my wife will tell you I'm a huge Sierra fan, you know. So Sierra's like my fake girlfriend, right? So I want him to get to Chicago because, you know, if he goes to Chicago, then I would only have to drive 2.5 hours to go to a game, and then maybe I could get a picture with Sierra. So I'm hoping for that to happen, right? But I don't really think they're not in a situation where they can really get rid of him or let him go, but it depends on, you know, if he was putting their hands to the fire like Deshaun Watson's doing in Houston, maybe, but I think they'll figure out a way to get him some help. And he's such a community guy there in Seattle, and you know, he's really the glue to Pete Carroll. You know, his tenure ended in a positive way. So I would say not going anywhere, but you know, back to my Sierra reasons, I will say that I would love to see him in Chicago.
Yeah, because I mean, people are saying that Seattle doesn't really need him. So, Coach Broussard, let's talk about Russell Wilson and what's your point of view?
I mean, I hope he stays in Seattle. I mean, I don't think Russell's the problem. I think obviously the O-line is a big concern. I think Pete Carroll's the problem. I think Pete Carroll's offense restricts Russell Wilson from opening it up. There's a lot of offenses around the league that really open it up, and Seattle doesn't. And I think he would be a better fit. I think he'd be a great fit in Chicago with Nagy as his head coach, because Pete Carroll, man, he still has that old school coaching mind frame in today's NFL where they just run the ball too much, and then they haven't let some key offensive line players go that they should have kept in place to protect him. So I didn't know Sierra was your type of girl, Coach.
And you thought my question about talking about sports and your favorite moment was personal. Wow, you learn lots of stuff here at the Play College.
That's his dream crush. That's his dream crush.
Oh my God, my wife will tell you about that for sure.
I thought you say Beyonce or somebody like that.
No, man. No.
Beyonce, hey, she made headlines last night. She was the first, 28 wins at the Grammys. Hey, what do you? Okay, let's talk about this. Okay, it's sports related. J-Lo and A-Rod. Do you believe that they broke up? And have you followed the Jose Canseco tweets that he has been doing lately?
He's a troll. I do know he's a troll. That's it.
The best tweets ever. Like, he woke up and he said, "Good morning, Jennifer. You need a real man."
Wow.
Disrespectful. Wow. Very disrespectful.
Well, it's kind of disrespectful that J-Lo and A-Rod have been teasing us with the rumors of them breaking up, but yet no one wants to make an official statement. So they're kind of being the ones that are being jerks right now. You just don't hit us with that and then not say anything, but then release a Sunday brunch playlist that looks like she's pretty much saying in this Instagram post, like, look at me, I don't need you, pack your stuff and get out. That's the vibe that I get from J-Lo.
She don't need him. She's right. She really don't need him.
He's a cheetah. Is
that what happened?
Okay.
Well, there's always been reports of him cheating and allegations of him with other women. I don't know.
Who's your dream crush, Tracy?
Well, I have a few. I do love Jason Momoa, which I hear he is in town actually taping. So if anybody has a connection or knows where he's staying, please feel free to let me know. I don't know. I have a lot. Depends. You might just see him and be like, "Yep, that's it." Yep. It's not a Chicago kind of love. Okay, let's talk about Madison Square Garden and the disrespecting of Patrick. What is going on, Patrick? Or I was going to call you Patrick Mahomes there. Coach Kirk Broussard. What's going on?
I think he got offended because they questioned him as he tried to maneuver around the arena. They stopped him and they retained him and questioned him. And maybe everybody's not from the generation to where he played and he was famous. Maybe it was a younger security guard. Do we know that? But one thing I can say is in Madison Square Garden, that's New York. That's the Mecca of basketball. In today's climate that we live in with terrorism and all these terrorist threats, that's probably heightened security in a place like Madison Square Garden. And it's probably a lot different than it was in the 80s and 90s when he played. So, he made a comment and said, "Hey, my name is in the rafters. My jersey's in the rafters. Who are you to stop me?" But, they have to do their job. So I think he should have just sucked it up and moved forward.
Coach Chris Williams, what do you think? Do you think he should have just sucked it up and just went along with it? Or was he in the right by saying, like, dude, this is who I am. Check it out. I have every right to do this.
Yeah, I think you got to, if you're going to work at that kind of a stadium, you got to know who the icons are, especially the 7'2" icons. You got to feel for who that is. I can think back to the last place I had to go into heavy security. We used to have to go into Olympic Stadium there in Montreal all the time through security. And so those guys would get used to you. And it came a point, where, hey, I forgot my pass today. I don't have this. And they knew your face, and they made it a point that they knew your face. So if you're talking about, in a stadium like that, and all the way down to the low-level scouts, they're remembering you, and they can let you go in if you got a problem. How can you not figure out that this is Patrick Ewing, coming into Madison Square Garden? So, you got to be aware. They should make those people, just like you get a job, you have to take a test. They should make those people take a test. This is the history of what's happened in this building. You got to have some kind of clue. Maybe you missed the third string guy from the 72 team, but you can't miss Patrick Ewing. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a valid point there. I think that if you don't know who he is and you're working in his home, I guess you could say.
It's not like Patrick Ewing brought the city a championship, or did he?
Oh,
Knicks,
but they were there.
but he never won a championship, right?
No, but his numbers and he's got to be top 3 best.
It's his name. It doesn't matter. It's his name. You know who he is.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
Right?
come on.
Stature. It's him.
Mhm.
Okay, fine. That just means that we have to change the topic here because it looks like there might be a little bit of a heated debate there.
No.
Let's talk about college football players. What's going on, Coach Broussard? They're getting paid for their likeness, and the question is it good or bad for the game? Tell me a little bit more of what's going on because again, headliners all over the place.
I'd like to get Coach's perspective on this first.
I have always felt like college athletes should be paid. I felt like we should. Well, I say we, but at the time that I was doing it, I felt like, we always should have had some sort of a stipend. So, I'm all for that. I think this way, and I'm not familiar with all of the rules, but if they're in a position where they can go and seek their endorsements, I don't know if that's the case or not, or if you just have to, only be paid if somebody wants to use your likeness. But it's a big business. It's big business. People are making big money. There's lots of money going around under the table, whether or not we want to face it or not. So I think we can legitimize some things and make things better by just admitting that this is not an amateur sport. It is not an amateur sport. It's just not. We may want it to be in our fantasies, but it's not. So when we admit that, guys should be paid accordingly. And I don't think everybody should be paid the same. It's no different than the pro level. When you go in the locker room, one guy makes $3 million, another guy makes $300,000. You just have to understand that that's the business that you're in. And I think college kids have to understand the same. So that fair stuff across the board, how do you do it based on who's the better players and who are the more famous guys. And I'm all for it. I'd like to see them take another step even after they do this.
Yeah. So getting paid for endorsements, do you feel like maybe that would help with the mental health aspect of this because they're getting money coming in? It kind of gives them a taste of maybe what's to come if they get signed.
Sure. because it's a minor league to the NFL as it is. So it's the unofficial minor league to the NFL. And so, yeah, guys have to start getting ready for that. And for everything you go through, I've seen guys, break bones. Completely, break bones through the skin and they can't play anymore. And there's no compensation for the effort that was put and the risk that was taken. And, guys' lives are changed. And that doesn't happen. That's the worst case. I understand that, but it does happen. So when people are committing their bodies to you, and you're making money off of that, there's got to be a return.
Yeah. Coach Broussard, what do you think? Do you think that this is a good thing or a bad thing when it comes to college football and athletes getting endorsement deals?
I think both. I think it's good and bad. And the pros are the players deserve it because, if you're a Division I college athlete, you don't have time to barely breathe. Once you go from class to meetings to practice to meetings to weights to breakfast, you don't have time to breathe or let alone do much. So it is a job. It is a job that you put way more than 40 hours a week into. So they should be compensated. But here's where it's bad. If I'm a player and I play in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and you're a player and you play in Los Angeles, California, and the cost of living in LA is a lot higher, and the opportunity to get more endorsements in LA are a lot better than Baton Rouge, and I'm a 5-star kid out of high school, money drives everybody. So I'm going to want to go play in a big market versus a small market so I can make more money. And with that being said, now that makes the recruiting playing field uneven. And then that's probably going to get the bag man that's behind the scenes that we already have that's persuading kids to come to their school anyway. That's going to get the bag man more involved to try to be more influential to keep that kid from going to play in New York or LA versus coming down to, Athens, Georgia or wherever. So I think it should be all Power 5 athletes get a set amount, no matter who you are, I think that all Power Five athletes get a certain amount of money invested into a trust. For once you complete college, you'll have a trust waiting for you that's been invested. It's been invested for 4 years. You can access that trust. But guys are broke right now where they're playing, so they need some type of, like, guys already get a stipend now. It's just not really talked about. That stipend should increase so guys aren't, having to buy a pack of white T-shirts from Walmart just to get by, that type of thing. So
Okay.
the stipend should increase. There should be a trust waiting for them once they complete playing, and they should be able to make money off their likeness. But that has to be regulated some type of way so it doesn't make the recruiting playing field uneven. Because in that case, Vanderbilt's not going to get any players. I mean, which they don't really now, but they're really going to be out of it once the bigger markets. I'd rather go play in Atlanta than go play in Nashville. So
are you saying that there should be caps, and depending on what year you're in, that's what everybody is making? Or are you saying, okay, well, because this living here is a little bit more, so we're going to give them a little bit more money so that they can survive? Or should just like a flat, hey, you want to be an endorser, you want to be a brand ambassador, we're going to give you X amount of money and cap it?
I think there should be a cap on all likeness brand endorsements. That should be capped. Okay. Because it's going to make everything uneven if there's not. And then the stipend that they get while they're playing, that should be level playing field across the board. Division I athletes get this amount, FBS athletes get this amount, and so on. And then I think they also should get a trust at the end of playing. They should have something waiting for them that's been invested, and they should be able to access that. Invested in like an ETF or a mutual fund, something where it doesn't fluctuate, something that's safe, that their money's not going to be sitting in a savings account making money so the bank can loan it out. They could have something in place where they can access when they're done playing, when they're 4 years older, when they have a college degree behind them, and they're a little bit more mature on how to spend it.
But don't they need the money now?
They get a stipend now. That stipend should be increased. Okay. So they're living a little bit better off.
Have the college save for their future. Help save for that future. Coach Williams, you're shaking your head here. What are your thoughts?
I get those points. I mean, the only thing that, with Kurt being a Florida fan, the thing that comes to my mind is the University of Florida going to put a cap on how much they can make off of Tim Tebow's likeness? You know what I mean? They're going to make money off of Tim Tebow from now to the end of Kingdom Come, right? I mean, so it's, so the caps that we're talking about, if I raise a kid who is Tim Tebow, I just raise a kid that's Tim Tebow, and you raise a kid that's the third string guy. I mean, you just raise a kid that's the third string guy. I mean, there's no across the board kind of a thought process. I mean, if you got a generational guy like Tim Tebow, he needs to be compensated for that. I mean, he's probably 5% of every year of Florida's revenue, even today. You know what I mean? So at some point, I mean, we just got to be honest about. And I hear you. I hear your thought process. Don't get me wrong, but when it comes to the Tim Tebows, the Johnny Manziels, these guys that are just taking these programs to places where they can still sell the jersey every Saturday forever. You know what I mean? It's just it becomes a little bit of an issue.
So I'm not saying that Tim Tebow shouldn't continue to get paid off of Tim Tebow's likeness. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is, while you're a student, it has to be regulated, because you just can't give one 18-year-old $2 million and give the other 18-year-old $200,000 and not expect there to be huge discrepancies in recruiting. What you do is, if you have a kid that's Tim Tebow, he can access the money from his likeness at a later date, like when he's done in school, when he's done with his eligibility. He can access some of it while he's in school, but it needs to be regulated to where everybody gets the same while he's still in school. Now, once he's done in school, you can take the roof off, and everything that he accumulated while he was in school, that's waiting on him when he gets out. So he'll have a bigger pile than the third string guy will have when he's done. But if you give it all to them while they're 18 years old, you're going to have some of them in Mercedes and some of them in Toyota Corollas, and it's going to be a big discrepancy on I want to go play in LA. You know, I don't care if they don't have the tradition that Alabama has. I can make triple the amount of money in playing in LA because more endorsements.
Yeah, I guess it could set them up for failure. Another thing that seems to be setting people up for failure or even ruining college football, roughly about 1,500 athletes enter the transfer portal each year. Not so friendly on them. And it just seems like it's a harsh reality for a lot of football players. Do you feel like this is going to ruin college football? Coach Broussard or Coach Chris Williams, what do you think?
Well, before you answer that, Coach, before you answer that, I want to ask you one question.
Okay.
If you're coaching at USC and I'm coaching at Alabama, would you use that in recruiting and say, hey, we're in LA. Imagine how many endorsements you're going to get in LA. You would use that in recruiting, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that it's going to make it uneven. But transfer portal.
I mean, the game has become so corrupt at this point. It's hard for us to. You can't save it 100 years into the process. I mean, we're trying to save it and grab it back and bring it back. But you know, the truth of the matter is, I mean, we've already passed this line where you know this thing has turned into $1 billion rolling train down a hill with no brakes. That's just what it has turned into. So the things that come with that, they're agents. Players need agents. You know, we're talking about 18-year-old kids. They need agents too. You know what I mean? They need a union. You know what I mean? There's when this thing is bringing in and raking in the money that it is, you just got to take the blinders off and make it everything that pro sports is. It's just the truth. You know, the NFL is our best league that in football in the world. Well, you know, Power 5, you know, NCAA football is the second best league in football in the world. And it's gotten to that point where people are filling pockets. And, you know, we got to treat it for what it is. So we'll talk about giving players money. We don't want to admit that they need agents. We don't want to admit that they need a union. We don't want to admit a lot of things that go with billion-dollar business. And the day that we admit it, the day it'll be better for everybody, the day we'll stop paying people under the table, the day it becomes something that we could actually regulate it when we realize what it truly is. So that's just my stance on it.
Mm-hmm. So, Coach, if you're a college coach, how does the transfer portal affect you in recruiting? Because I mean, now kids can just leave. They don't have there's no, you don't have to sit.
Yeah, I mean, the transfer portal is one of those things where I like it because it gives the player the out. You know what I mean? The $1 million coach tells me when he signs me, I'm going to be with you for 4 years. And the $1 million coach takes a $10 million contract and goes somewhere else the next year. You know what I mean? So I'm stuck here in West Virginia when I thought I was going to play for this coach. And now I got this other guy who I hate. And I'm stuck here in Morgantown, West Virginia. So, I mean, because it all goes back to being the business and everybody else treats it like a business, I think the players should be able to, you know, to move as free agents. I mean, and there's some regulations with going into the transfer portal and to be eligible and all that kind of stuff. But I like it just because, once again, I mean, if Nick Saban ups and leaves tomorrow to go to the Cowboys, you know, I might not want to be here in Tuscaloosa. So, I mean, I just think, you know, like I said, it's a crazy thing, man. But you know, I think we kind of got one eye shut and one eye open on this one. Not just us, but the people the powers that be, you know, just maybe not want to face the truth.
I think
pretty loaded there. What do you think, Coach Broussard?
I think you're going to lose a lot of really good, talented coaches that are in college football that are going to want to go to the pro ranks because they don't want to deal with, you know, if I spend 3 years, ever since he was a freshman, recruiting a kid, since he's been a freshman in high school, I've flown to see him so many times. I've invested so much into his recruitment. And then he gets there and he's there for 1 year and then he wants to leave. I'm going to feel like as a coach, I don't want to deal with this. I want to go to the pros. So I feel like there needs to be something put in place to where a player, I don't think it should be so easy to just jump ship and leave. I think you should have to honor your commitment. You know, you need to commit to the school and not the coach. We know coaches come and go. But I agree that players should have the freedom to transfer. You know, I just think there needs to be more less regulations on the scholarship requirement or the scholarship allowment. So I have more flexibility. I'm not restricted to 25 scholarships a year because I know I'm going to get some. I'm going to get some turnover. I'm going to get some players to transfer. You can't restrict me to 25 scholarships a year. I think if they increase the amount of scholarships, it'll persuade more coaches to stick around because I can over recruit a little bit in expectation of players maybe leaving. Yeah,
makes sense.
We'll give a quick shout out to Chase, and he just put a comment out there. He's definitely agreeing with you guys. Good guy right there. He definitely supports the show, and it's really nice that he actually reposts our stuff. So big shout out to Chase. He just commented with 100%. So he's agreeing with you guys.
Thanks, Chase.
So yeah, wow, what a loaded show, guys. Woo! I was not expecting some of that, just like you guys weren't expecting to hear that I was semi-pro when it comes to playing soccer.
Didn't know that.
And I had pink socks too, believe it or not, I did.
Nice. Is there any footage of this?
Yeah, actually there is.
Okay.
So my daughter, my son, my kid, they would watch on the sideline. So I played up until about maybe 2 years ago. And I thought I should retire because I was playing and it was raining. It seemed to rain like every Friday night. And my cleat got stuck in the mud when I went to go kick the ball. So I pulled a muscle in like my glute and my butt, and it hurt. It hurt. So and I said, oh my gosh, I'm in pain. I can't move. And they said, well, does anybody have a roller bar so that we can just roll this out? And I'm like, no. And everyone's like, no, I don't. I go, but I have a bottle of wine in my car. So thanks to the bottle of wine for saving my life that night. Yeah. I couldn't move, but my daughter would take footage. She would take my phone and she would take pictures of me, and she would laugh at the way that I ran.
Did you score? Did you score any goals?
No, it was defense. I stood there.
Oh, gotcha.
That's what I did. I just stood there waiting. Okay. And then when they came, I was like, oh my God, I am dying. I'm going out. Trust me, there were times I just went, go right ahead. Do it. You don't understand. I had balls go to my face so you could see the stitching. And then I would show up for work the next day. And it's hard to cover that stuff up. It was constantly
they thought that Dolphin player was beating on you, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, you know what? That's my next thing. I'm going to play, once we start opening up here, I really want to try playing football.
Okay.
I want to embrace it from a player, not just sidelines or talking about it. I want to get that perspective as to what's going on the field.
Is there a league, women's league near you?
Well, we used to have the lingerie football league here in Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think it's up and running. But I'm sure that there's a lot of local touch football or flag football.
Yeah.
I could join, but the whole pandemic has me not able to. I'm sure Coach Williams, you probably love to like coach that. So would Coach Broussard. No?
Lingerie league? The lingerie league, of course.
Like a regular league. No.
Yeah, we've been there, done that in some ways. We'll have to talk about that another time. But I'm fully supportive of women trying the game of football for sure.
I think it's very empowering, and that's one of the reasons why I want to try it, because I think it'd be very empowering because, again, I'm getting a different perspective on the field. I've been on sidelines. I've been in as a fan, but to actually be there, I don't know. Let's just face it. I'll probably run, and I won't be coming back, right? I'll be hiding behind somebody. So, well, it looks like our time is up. This is a Monday night. Best time of the week, hanging out with the Play Callers pod. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Great input. And we love that the fans were interacting with us tonight. The viewers, always feel free to post and let us know what you want to hear, what you want to talk about, and who you want to see on the show. So, guys, I hope you have a great week.
Have a great week, both of you.
You as well. And be sure to tune into YouTube. We're taking the show to YouTube. So
we're going to YouTube, baby.
Yeah, if you find us on YouTube, and please subscribe. Press that like button and subscribe.
Okay. Well, we'll be sure to be pumping that out this week. That's the goal of the week, and I'm sure someone will be making a headline. Maybe we'll finally get to see what's really going on in Jennifer Lopez and A-Rod's life. Maybe Jose Canseco will make another headline.
Oh no.
Hey, I didn't bring up the Kardashians tonight.
Thank you. I cannot talk about you know who.
Just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait. Anyways, gentlemen, it was a pleasure. Thanks very much. And I look forward to seeing you same place, same time next week.
Great show.
Later. Have a good one.